Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the season finale of Rick and Morty, Ricktional Mortpoon's Rickmas Mortcation. Ricktional Mortpoon's Rickmas Mortcation. Sorry, when it gets kind of weird like that, you kind of have to check how they do it for a title. And I really didn't like this one. Now granted, it's just most of the whole kind of thing was on a Star Wars joke that could have been done better. Like, the basis of it I could have at least gotten with, but then they just really didn't do anything with it. And I don't mind someone making fun of Star Wars, even though I like Star Wars. Like, Spaceballs is one of my favorite movies because Mel Brooks sends that shit up fucking amazingly. Here, it other than the, like, unique situation of, like, hey, we've got a lightsaber in play and what's kind of going on, we then just have, like, observations of the franchise, pretty much, that, like, if you have tangentially even kind of heard stuff about people talking about Star Wars, either they love it or they hate it, you've pretty much heard it, and it's like, alright. So, we pretty much start off and we see that it's Christmas time. Rick comes in and decides to start giving out presents. Gives Jerry an extended thing for Miracle on 34th Street, which that joke just went nowhere. A picture of from a multiverse thing where Beth actually survived, and he gives it to both of them. Venmos Summer money and gives Morty a lightsaber, and they have him kind of playing with it in the garage before he fucks up, and it goes down vertically, and it's going through, like, Rick's kind of bunker kind of thing. They're trying to get ahead of it. It's not really working. Before they kind of go down to a sushi's place, they've overshot it. They go back up, and we see that Rick, that we have been following at this point, is actually a robot, and that Rick replaced himself with a robot in, like, the previous episode before the whole Knights shenanigans shit. And that's why that Rick kind of felt a little bit off, and that he's been looking for his nemesis, Rick Prime. And then Morty then sees that the president calls and is like, hey! He comes up and you're like, listen, that lightsaber, if it interacts with the core, will, like, explode and kill us all. So let's kind of get on that. And, of course, Morty's pissed off at Rick, and he actually starts working with the president to try and, like, figure out what to do and to get there. And, of course, it's all the same kind of core. Like, you know the movie The Core, where they're trying to figure out how to get down there? Rick kind of figures out what's kind of going on, goes in, starts pretty much just, like, being his own kind of self-important self, telling people not to touch things because they'll probably get killed, where one dude actually does. And I don't mind that happens. It's just the execution for it's just like, oh, okay. And they pretty much come up with the whole drill thing. They're having trouble trying to get it to a point where it'll actually get there before the lightsaber. Rick's like, fuck that shit. I got my own lightsaber. Yeah, because I wouldn't give it to you because you'd fuck it up anyway kind of shit to Morty. And then has it AI controlled, tries to get it down to mess with the other lightsaber. However, he is being such a dickhole to the lightsaber that's like, fuck you, asshole. Goes off on its own and accidentally starts killing people in Menace. So he then goes, messes with the drill bit thing, and is like, fine, do your shit. So Morty teams up with the president, and they go, they grab it. It's like, all right, cool. And then the president's like, fuck you, man. I get this lightsaber because he's just an entitled dickweed. And the thing is, he plays around with it in the White House, and the same thing happens. And instead of asking for help, just jettisons the White House into space. And while this is going on, we see that Jerry is watching his movie and saying, all right, I'm even getting tired with this. Rick, robot, starts playing this kind of like, am I a robot kind of game? And he's like torn because he wants people to know that he's a robot, but he can't say that he's a robot. So that would have been a more interesting one to, like, focus more on that for the whole episode, rather than the just, like, kind of their stuff with the Star Wars stuff. It's like, all right. So we then see that Morty then brings up the whole thing that he's a robot. The family pretty much destroys him, and then they're trying to get Rick to kind of help him out with the whole kind of lightsaber situation, but he's still doing his shit with trying to find Rick Prime, as we see a little bit of stuff with that, and then Morty just puts they have to put the robot back together, and they get it, they get the lightsaber. Robot Rick and Morty go up and like confront the president. Evidently, they past presidents had built pretty like Jimmy Carter built a Star Wars room thing. Reagan tried to destroy it, but then they're like doing all this stuff. He's putting out droids. One droid's got like lightsabers for eyes, but of course can't see. There's a Gatling lightsaber thing. It's like, I don't have a problem with the stuff and the central aspects of a lightsaber and kind of like mucking around with that. It just didn't hit it for me. It just didn't execute in a way that I'm like, oh, okay, you got this. And Morty's like fucking pissed off and tries to like shoot him with the Gatling lightsaber thing, and instead hits Robot Rick, and he likes Robot Rick and everything. And the thing is, the lightsaber then falls down again and breaks a hole, and they get teleported back by Rick, and we see that Robot Rick dies. Morty's pissed off at regular Rick, but then goes down there, sees that like you found stuff with like Rick Prime, but that he's everywhere, and then pretty much screaming about like, now you're on my revenge mission, Morty. We'll be doing this in season 7, Morty. It's like, okay, like I kind of get it, but and I would like it for a story to just like, okay, kind of either deal with it or just do crazy ass shenanigans, or like kind of balance the two. You can have both of just doing crazy kind of wacky shit, which we kind of had in this season, and doing stuff with like actual character development, character growth, and actual plot progression with what's kind of going on. But it just ended it on a more sour note for me, where it's like, oh, like I didn't find anything funny or really engaging throughout this episode. Now granted, that happens in shows. Sometimes you just have episodes that don't click with you. And if you found this really funny and really liked it, that's cool. I'm not saying that you're wrong for that. I'm like, enjoy it. This just didn't work for me, and especially as like a season finale for everything that was kind of like going on in this season. I'm like, all right, well, hopefully we get some good episodes next season. It's not like it was so bad that I would swear off the show entirely. It's just one of those ones that just really didn't work for me, and they have done send-ups of other kind of things before that just worked really well, and they could have done a lot better with like the Star Wars stuff and everything, and just doing weird, wacky fucking shit, and they just went for like the most basic kind of thing of almost observational kind of humor. It's like, yeah, and what do you have to say about it? Because we see the president just being an entitled dickweed and being like, yeah, I like Star Wars, so I get to keep the lightsaber. And then just shitting on the prequels and the sequels. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, what else is there? I mean, I've seen most of that kind of discourse online of people being like, the prequels are the complete and utter shit, but the sequels are awesome. And like vice versa. And some people were just like, I got problems with the prequels, I got problems with the sequels, and sure, there's some issues with the original trilogy, but that's kind of what my jam is. I'm kind of like in that camp. Like, there's stuff with the prequels that's like, what? And the sequels are just like, damn. And it just, I was waiting for like something really funny to at least hit with me, and it just didn't in this episode. So, yeah, it's disappointing, but I've learned that on a long enough time frame for shows, you're just going to get an episode that isn't going to click with you, just either for some reason of execution or what they kind of try and do with a joke that either works for you or doesn't work for you or doesn't work in the way that they attempted to do it. There's a lot of different kind of stuff. Now, and because it didn't work for me, it felt like it went on longer. Like, even the Jerry one, I'm like, okay, it's just a long one, and they just kind of kept going long enough on it to be like, this is annoying. Can we please move on? We get it. He's just talking about miracles on all these streets. We got that. And then the tag at the end was Mr. Poopy Butthole just talking about, like, oh yeah, I wasn't in this, but, like, I got a divorce and I'm getting jacked, but then my legs blow out. I was like, alright. Like, again, it didn't work for me, but it worked for you. Okay, cool. So, I was disappointed in this. There really wasn't much on the character growth front or like development or depth that I liked, and it just didn't work with the crazy zaniness of what they were attempting to do, I guess, because it wasn't as crazy or zany as they had done with like Pickle Rick or whatnot. So hopefully season 7 gets some pretty decent episodes and pretty good episodes that just like kind of like pull me in. So we'll just definitely have to see how that works out. So those are my opinions on the season finale. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.